I'm going to talk about podcasts this episode. Seems like every comic I know has a podcast. Everyone has a podcast. I mean, it makes sense because it's cheap. All you need is a mic and your voice, and comics like to talk a lot. I've been invited on a lot of podcasts. Sometimes I've been invited to be on like radio shows, and I can tell you that I hate them. Can we put an echo effect on that or something? I hate them. Oh man, you would think a stand-up comic would like to talk and do podcasts and be on the radio, because we don't have TV faces, we have radio faces. But no, I hate podcasts. I hate them because apparently I don't know how to speak. Part of the reason why I'm doing this video series is that Jovu, me, talking in first person or third person, one of those, the weird person way, talking about myself, I need to learn how to speak. Because when I do my stand-up set, I'm not actually speaking. I'm just acting. I'm regurgitating words that I've written. I talk very little. I've started to notice that finally. Like, in my groups of friends, I'll talk maybe 5% of the time, which translates exactly to how much I talk in podcasts. I often feel like I only say exactly, efficiently what is needed to say. I could never understand how people could just go on and on talking about fluff or whatever is in their head. If I had to talk about whatever was in my head, I think it would confuse people. There's too much going on, and it's not very coherent. Yeah. But like I said, I've always been a listener. I think 50% of my talking is asking questions, wanting to know more about other people, observing. So talking has always been a problem for me, which is the number one thing you need to do on a podcast. Like, you don't know how crazy I edit these videos. There's so much silence. There's so much of me just thinking what I'm going to say next. These videos would be like 30 minutes long if I left them unedited, with multiple takes of me saying the same line over and over again, with multiple takes of me saying the same line over and over again. I remember being on the Todd Shapiro show, and Todd would often say, "And Joe, what do you think?" Because I hadn't said anything for the past 20 minutes, and I'll be like, "Yes, interesting point. But I have nothing to add." There are very few topics that I want to talk about or that I have the knowledge to talk about. One, stand-up comedy. Love talking about it. That's why I'm able to even do these videos, because I have things to say. There's opinions. I care about it. There's very little things that I am passionate enough about to express my opinions on. Because I get convinced very easily on either side of anything. Cryptocurrency, I can talk about that. I can talk about video games. I can talk about poker. The topics are very limited, and you can tell that the topics make me a joy at parties. Anyways, teach me how to talk. I need to be better at conversation. I don't know. Like, see? This is unedited. I'm trying to figure out the words I want to say. It's like, I know English, but I'm still always scrambling to find the right words because I'm not used to talking all the time. I think with podcasts, I was for a while along the lines of saying and believing that you should always say yes to everything. Do the things that scare you the most. After doing several podcasts where I was of no use, like I may have not even been there and there would be very little difference, I've realized and I've revised my thinking to do the things that scare you if you can at least reasonably represent a human being. If you are going to be a rock, then no. Get a little better first. Maybe do videos on YouTube learning how to speak, and then go on a podcast and try to speak at that point. I just feel like it's just a polite thing to do for other people that you reach a certain minimum level before you take up people's time. If you speak, someone's listening, and time is important, and maybe you shouldn't waste other people's time? I don't know. Anyways, this isn't so much about podcasts, but more about my inability to have conversations. Yeah, I've opened up here. I hope you guys appreciate the vulnerability of this episode and won't criticize me for the mistitling of it. I don't want to call it Joe the Mute episode. Maybe I should. Anyways, should I have called it that? What do you guys think? Alright, see you guys in a week.